Whenever we finish a project, we do a lot of soul searching. A lot of reference got kicked around. The Seven Samurai, the Magnificent Seven. We talked very early on about showing off a more human approach to Spartans.
We definitely focused on trying to go back to sort of the core of what made Halo CE, the Combat Evolved, the sort of phenomenon that it is.
I remember my first time playing Halo, and I was in that first level, and after winding through these technical corridors, fighting aliens, and then I step out into this world, and it just opens up in front of me, and it's beautiful and alien and huge. That was a sort of seminal moment for me, and I think that's part of what we want to capture in Reach.
Something that was core to the game at the beginning was that sense of wonder and exploration. We started with a series of events. We basically set out like, okay, from this date on Reach to this date, we built a military campaign.
We all had a desire to really flesh out the backstory of what happened prior to Master Chief and Cortana even entering the picture. We knew there were other Spartans, and it just seemed like such a rich area to tell a character-driven story with new characters.
We wanted this team to feel like a Delta Force type team that are usually a smaller number.
Why are we not seeing explosives residue?
This particular team, Noble Team, they've survived by staying together. You're Noble Six, you're a replacement for a Spartan that's died. You're experiencing this story, boots in the mud.
We looked at the story of Reach, and it was obviously a more intimate, character-driven story. We really needed the attention to real-world detail, trying to make these characters' faces really feel like believable.
We started everything over from scratch, came up with a whole new rig for how we animate faces and also how we approach like texturing them, modeling them, everything, and just put a lot more time. Difference about a couple million polygons.
We absolutely want Reach to tell a human story, and that's going to require us to invest significantly into higher fidelity models, much more open environments, larger numbers of AI than ever before in a Halo game.
To pull off the vision for what we had for this game, we ended up gutting almost every part of the engine, retooling things to make it run faster, to make it run better, it looked better.
We had to throw out all of our technical systems. We had to then throw out the content that went with it because that content didn't represent the new bar we were going for.
Copy that, on our way. Don't need command to tell me. Been on hers half my life.
Let's shoot it.
We've got a great team of guys, and they could take motion capture and they could make the poses way more dynamic, way more expressive. Those changes bring out the life, they bring out the style of our characters.
We had probably 4 times the amount of polygons to play with this time around, which gave us a lot more freedom and creativity in what we wanted to achieve.
When you look at total engineers that are actually putting code that are actually affecting this game, I mean, it's massive, 30 plus guys, it's crazy.
When you shoot a rock face, you'll see sparks, rock chips, dust. In Halo 3, we had a maximum of 100 colliding particles. In Halo Reach, we have thousands.
We've got much more customizable Spartans than we've ever had in the past.
The number of polygons we can draw at one time has skyrocketed. It's changed the way we build things up close as well as out far.
This is where Noble Team arrives, and then you're going to work your way down, all the way down these terraces.
Big open environments, epic skyboxes. These are things that are quintessential to Halo.
Like, we're building a planet that exists 500 years from now. We want to build spaces that you want to explore.
We want to put twice as many characters, vehicles, and weapons into that environment. That's going to require massive improvements to the way we handle our artificial intelligence in the game.
We now can put so many AI in an encounter that you can put 4 Spartans, the player, 8 Marines against 30-ish Covenant, and that's an actual serious challenge.
Bringing the elites back was something that was really a true joy for us because they're such an awesome character to fight.
What if the Spartans and the soldiers don't actually understand what the aliens are saying? What's that going to feel like? What if we can get back to having the aliens feel really alien and threatening? these people and this planet and this story deserve something new and different. Just a different underlying sense of tragedy, heroism. We're rebuilding everything from the ground up.
You have to walk this very fine balance. We want to add new things, but we don't want to rough up anybody's baby.
I mean, that's the whole thing about the crazy sausage that is Bungie's Halo Reach ODST universe, is that we've sort of developed this gameplay that every person sort of has the different things about it that they like, and I still think that we still struggle to figure out exactly what, like what can we add or remove without pissing off certain people in the population.
We looked at the Halo 3 assault rifle, and it really does feel kind of dated. It fit the tech then, but now we have all of these new polygons to play with.
We went to a lot of trouble to sort of ground the weapons and the vehicles more in this sort of more real, more gritty world. We refined a lot of the weapons to push them into their particular role, and that role is defined a lot by range and the range of combat that you're going to play. For instance, the DMR, which is a sort of medium to long range suppression marksman rifle.
It's going to be a sandbox game. It's not going to be a carefully scripted game where every movement of the AI is controlled by a mission designer. It's much broader than that. It allows the player to deal with encounters in their own specific way. There's definitely going to be offhand grenade throwing. There's definitely going to be vehicles. There's definitely going to be a large number of weapons that are incredibly powerful, incredibly accurate, that allow the player to feel like a badass.
Now, if you melee him in the back of the head, like you really mean it, you're holding down on the button, and you will launch into this more elaborate animation sequence.
It's going to be a very different campaign experience for people overall. We're doing stuff in the campaign that people absolutely won't expect from a Halo game.
Bigger battles, brand new cast of characters.
An incredibly ambitious game.
Every neuron in my head is firing with just reach, reach, reach. We knew from the beginning what the end was going to be.
This is the definitive Halo.
We definitely talked about wanting to do something really different with this game and to give people things that they've never seen before.
As designers, we're often tasked with this really difficult problem of inventing fun.
One of the things we really struggled on was the tactical nature of the game, which we're really trying to improve that, bring it to the next level. We went back, we spent months looking at, trying to go back through time about what really represented the things that we wanted to bring to the game.
I think people want something new. We've done the real-time first-person shooter. Like, we beat that to death.
I mean, there's more to strategy than just, landing a headshot. That's talent, right? But you have to be able to look ahead. You have to sort of plan your moves out carefully.
It takes a strategy component and introduces it to the Halo universe that we really haven't done in the past.
We've made a number of sort of big changes.
And this is all part of our new paradigm. It's all from the ground up, brand new.
They've been really just driving this from day one. It kind of just spawned out of this, like, what can we do with Halo that has not been done before?
We've heard you, we've reacted, we've listened, and now what we're doing is we're bringing chess to Halo.
Chess is the longest running competitive multiplayer game in the world, and I don't see why our version can't continue that legacy.
Obviously they're doing something right. Like, they've got this game, doesn't really have many options, and why don't we give it a try?
We tried to give them each weapons that really correlated to the purpose of that particular unit. You are restricted to the moves that each of the characters can do.
Everybody brings a little bit of a different perspective, different experience to the table. If it's a good idea, we just say, absolutely, let's change direction, let's go with that.
We wanted to figure out something we could do to sort of bring fun back to Halo.
Chess is about the oldest kind of Slayer there is.
You start off as the monitor, and when you're ready to make your move, you go down, you pick that piece, and then you are actually put into that character, and then you're able to control that character.
That to me was one of those things that sparked a little bit of life in the game.
I'm excited to see how it turns out. I'm really excited. But I don't know, whatever. Every game you think you're doing the right thing, and that turns out you f something up.
Campaign prepares an amazing table, but multiplayer is your meal.
I could eat it every goddamn day. Forever.
It's like sitting around on the couch with 7 of your buddies playing Halo multiplayer, trash talking.
2 men enter, the better man leaves. The lesser man is respawning, and that's Halo. The beta. It's super important to have these like big ticket like milestones that sort of force a bunch of wishy-washy designers to get their shit together.
So for the multiplayer team, it is absolutely a test of all the stuff we've been doing.
I'm really terrified about what people are going to say.
The public beta is where it all comes together.
Beat the shit out of our code, come break our cookie system, come try to, like, it's a great security test. Maybe they're going to find new glitches that we can fix. That's why I'm like, please, find new glitches, find new glitches.
We made a bunch of changes in Reach that are pretty significant.
For multiplayer, especially, there's a lot of people who are super passionate about the features that we put into it.
The DMR is absolutely an awesome, worthy successor to the battle rifle.
You kind of get control over how accurate your shot is going to be. If you're spamming that trigger as fast as you can fire it, it's going to go kind of wild. If you're trying to like hit a guy really, really far away, then you have to slow that down.
Everyone's totally destroying with the DMR. It's like everyone's got a Death Star in their hands.
I usually go back to the Needler. That's one that always makes me happy.
Everyone's always wanted the Needler to be sweet because it's hilarious and fun. Then it gets too sweet, or all of a sudden like something gets fixed, and it's like, oh, tracking's fixed now, and you're like, guys just burst.
It's been fun to go back and kind of re-envision some of the old friends.
Like the sniper rifle. Like I pick up the sniper rifle and I'm like, this is it. It's totally happening. And I'm about to rain death on the plebeians that I work with. Overkill. And I'm like, yep, it's back.
The Covenant focus rifle is awesome because it's like that Sentinel beam from Halo 2. But now it's a sniper weapon.
When the pistol started to come back, it was insane. It was so awesome.
I'm super excited to see what people do with armor abilities. It totally changes the game.
You've got this secret weapon in your back pocket that's your 4th leg of fun.
What do you want to be? Like invisible? Do you want to fly? Do you want to turn to stone?
With Reach, you've got guys in jetpacks flying around, invisibility guys just showing up.
It's kind of a give and take between us and Sage and Josh, trying to figure out like what's that perfect balance with all the new stuff.
There's a lot of that goes on. They're like, shh, don't tell Sage, he'll nerf it.
You're juggling plates, right? You're just sitting there spinning the plates, and occasionally one starts spinning, you're like, ah! And you're like, make Invis more powerful. And everyone's like, no, I'm picking Invis. And you're like, okay, make it less powerful. And then, oh, now everyone like, I mean, that's what Sage and those guys do. It's a fucking huge challenge.
We don't ever want to create one super weapon that works in all cases because that tends to make the game fairly dull. It's really up to the player to decide how do they want to play on a particular map.
It's a choice.
Double kill.
That's, I think, Halo at its best is like making these choices.
You start the game, and immediately you get to choose a loadout.
You're making a single selection that includes your armor ability and your weapon. We sort of pair those intentionally.
It breeds this smarter combat. You'll definitely notice a big difference in how the game functions.
Right now, at this exact moment in development, Armor Lock's insane. It's super powerful. I love it.
It is just fucking fun.
There are 2 Slayer maps. There's Powerhouse, which is an asymmetrical map. Lots of indoor-outdoor action.
Swordbase is a very vertical map.
Moving around Swordbase is a completely different scenario when you've got a jetpack versus when you're sprinting.
This time around, we decided to integrate all of the multiplayer maps within the campaign.
Overlook is another Pioneer style base.
We're using it for a game type called Generator Defense. That's also a multiple loadout game type. Your loadouts are actually far more varied than, say, in Slayer.
Boneyard is our largest map we've ever done in multiplayer.
It's definitely the most complicated multiplayer space we've ever tried, and it's also a new game type.
Invasion is this big team battle.
We sort of sat down and said, let's try to make an objective game that has elements like Slayer and try to make that more fun. And we wanted a big, huge, lots of guys and all these fictional elements.
We've added a couple new objective game types, Headhunter, Stockpile.
Headhunter. It's so much fun. Like seeing a dude pick up skulls and then you cap him and seeing skulls fly out of his body and then the mad dash to pick those things up.
And there's a lot of tension
as you're amassing skulls, it's the risk reward of gathering up a lot and banking all at once, or just doing it one at a time and not being a big target.
Headhunter.
Stockpile is a team game based on capture the flag.
2 teams each have their collection zone or stockpile.
There are multiple flags on the map, and your goal is to grab a flag, take it to your goal. It's a game of capture and defense.
We have what we call the party games. We have Race, we have Oddball, we have King of the Hill, but like, Slayer's the thing you keep coming back to. Like, for me, Slayer is the game. Slayer is multiplayer.
The Arena is a really awesome evolution for people who want to play really hardcore competitive multiplayer.
Let's just acknowledge that Slayer's awesome and try to build that space where we can sort of say, like, if you're hyper competitive, care about stats, let's make that for you.
Bam, games, push. Rating, push. Division.
The better you play, you'll eventually be put into a division. The arena divisions are broken up into Onyx, Gold, Silver, and Steel.
You can say, oh yeah, I was Gold, you know, and like that means something. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. You're basically a AAA baseball player. And I'm like, I'm Onyx. Like, you just met fucking Roger Clemens.
Our matchmaking system is really good at matching people up based on skill. What it has never been really good at before is saying, well, how much fun will these 2 people have playing together?
I'll sing, some of it's obnoxious, I'll get muted. Why can't I tell the system, dude, find me the people who love playing like a team player?
Instead of just trying to put 8 people in a game together, we first use the social preferences for finding teammates. And then we can say, find 4 of the people who are really good skill match.
Without players thinking about it, we hope that it'll lead to better social encounters.
Active roster essentially is us bringing the Y menu back from Halo 2.
It's a way of saying, friends are online and this is what they're doing, so I can hook up with them with a minimum of fuss.
Everything that you see in the game, there's a path to getting. We can make this game about you.
I really wanted to make sure that players were able to invest themselves in the Spartans that they create, and then be able to carry that Spartan back and forth between campaign and multiplayer seamlessly without them feeling like it's 2 different experiences.
Start at 0, nothing. Invest, play the game, no freebies. You're beta testing, have a t-shirt. Little avatar t-shirt. I'll be wearing one.
The fans should never assume what you see in the beta is set in stone.
What's working about Powerhouse?
The jetpack is practically crying out for abuse.
Is Rocket Spawn open? Is that good?
In the end, it's all about the game, and the game is king.
There's that magical step in the process, like it stops being software, and all of a sudden it's more like this thing. I'm playing with my friends having a beer. It's awesome.
The first time I looked at Forge World, and I was like, oh, hey, cool, that's... Oh, holy, you guys did what? There's just way too much. You can't keep it all in your head at once.
It was so beyond our production capability. We were just like, you know, that's crazy. We can't do that. I couldn't stop the artist who started creating it.
Forge is our editing tool that players can build their own maps. I mean, at its core, it's a map editor.
We always had this vision right from the get-go, which is
anyone can build anything.
Giving the fans the tools, they can take it and run with it and make it their own.
Forge World actually started as 5 separate maps.
And I said, wouldn't it be cool if, like, you could play this and go over there, and then play over there if you wanted. And Forge World was born. There were a lot of people telling us that, no, you cannot ship this as one big map.
We have this awesome new automatically generated LOD system called impostering that makes objects that are really far away really cheap to draw.
We're pushing what we can do with the Forge budget, so that lets us have many more objects up on the screen at once, which lets us put more objects into Forge.
Interesting to take the Banshee or Falcon out for a spin in Forge World. These actually takes a while to get from one into the other.
The second you come into this space, you should know that you're on Halo. Our old friend, the Forerunners, come back, because the Forerunners create all sorts of cool, interesting pieces of geometry.
We wanted to give people a variety of locations that they could forge in a different way. So a gulch, an island, an interior, a very small outdoor pocket, and then the rock, which was kind of based off Ascension.
Let's use a lot of interesting parts in it so that people can manipulate it or we can change it. Why don't we bring back
Blood Gulch and carve it all up into pieces so that people can start manipulating it in interesting ways. And then Sanctuary was the other one. The Cage and Paradiso, that's just Chad and I playing with a map editor and actually building cool maps within Forge World. I mean, we were doing that exactly how the fans would do that.
We definitely looked at what we did in Halo 3 and said, what can we learn from this? It's one thing to build just a stunning amount of map variants, but like nobody was expecting Forge art, I don't think. Like that was just a completely, whoa, what?
The Rube Goldberg machines, yeah, those are everywhere.
In Halo 3, it was cool that you could move things around, but it was still kind of clunky.
And we're like, we have to make this better.
What are some of the tricks that the community is using, and how can we make those not be tricks and just make those be tools?
We took that stuff and made it like a real feature. There's normal, phased, and fixed. So normal is like Halo 3 style, you know, it bumps into stuff when you let it go and it falls to the ground and moves around and stuff. And fixed is the same thing, except when you let it go, it stays exactly where it was. And then phased is the coolest because it means that while you're editing the object, it's not actually interacting with the environment. You can put it through a wall, you can put it, you know, through other objects.
Which changed everything for Forge, like immediately.
It's much easier to build a Forge space. There's snaps and rotates and degrees and units that you can move things. You can be very precise.
The camera controls, it's actually really good for object placement because like little touches on the stick don't translate into really sudden jumpy movements. And then we also have a fine editing mode. You click the stick in and then your camera starts moving very slowly.
You're not spending like 3 hours trying to get one block to line up directly to 3 other blocks.
You can select individual objects and say, get rid of all the objects of this type. So if you're trying to get rid of all the spawn points on a map because you want to go and replace all the spawn points, you can do that.
You can do custom colors. You can take these Forge pieces and say, hey, that's blue. So the blue base can truly look like the blue base.
Reach's expanded sandbox includes new things like, you know, jetpacks. And if people want to build some sort of 3D map and really make use of the jetpack, they can do that now.
Custom game options and Forge go together like peanut butter and jelly. You're able to do things with game types that people might not even expect. My favorite example is King of the Hill, where the warthog is the hill.
I'm super excited to see what people do with it when it goes out, because there's so much crazy stuff in there that's amazing.
We are shipping maps on the disc that we made in Forge ourselves. So the tools are there. If you have the time and the talent, you can make it.
The community is just going to outstrip us and spank us.
With the new tagging system, you can save a Forge variant, you can post it to your file share, and then you can say, you know, sweet new map.
Things that are good are downloaded by a lot of people and passed around to a lot of people, and that makes the really sweet stuff bubble up to the top. I'm looking forward to what the next big community game type is going to be.
We realized that Reach was our swan song to Halo, and what better way to do that than to let people do what we've been doing all along, which is creating new cool maps.
It's nice to go out with a bang, and this is a pretty big one.